So over time, a lot of people always ask me who is an historical figure that I would have loved to have a conversation with or who I would have loved to meet in person. That person is hands down, without a question, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is my favorite sports figure of all time and one of my favorite historical figures ever. Simply, well, for a plethora of reasons, but mainly because he was a man who like really believed, he was convicted in his stance and stood up for something that he believed in the face of losing his livelihood, having his whole family put in danger, having his life in jeopardy at times. Like a black man saying the stuff that he said could have been killed for saying the stuff that he said and how confidently he said it. And nonetheless, he was fearless in his approach and saying what he truly felt and expressing the plight of his people to his country that he lived in, that treated black men like they were inferior, black people in general like they were inferior at that time, like they were hardly anybody at that time. Muhammad Ali, I remember vividly when I was really doing a project on Muhammad Ali and reading books about him, reading articles, journal articles. At the time that Muhammad Ali did what he did, people looked at him as a traitor to his country. People looked at him as though they called him a draft dodger. Really, really talked nasty things about him. And he wasn't so revered at that time when he first said that he was not going to go into the army. He wasn't going to serve in the military. And people thought, how dare he do this? Who does he think he is? And he still stayed true to himself and stayed true to his stance and saying, I'm not going to participate in a war where, these individuals have not wronged me at all, but yet and still I'm being continuously wronged in my country, even after I've served, even after I won a gold medal in the Olympics for this country, I'm still treated bad because of the color of my skin. My people are still treated bad because of the color of their skin. So I'm not going to serve in a war against another people who have not wronged me at all. And for him to say that during that time, I was like, wow. Like, it really took the heart of three lions for him to do something like that. Especially knowing that his livelihood was going to get taken away from him or possibly be taken away from him. Because I know he had to know what all was at risk at the time that he did that. He had the heavyweight championship stripped away from him. And at that time, being the heavyweight champion of the world was as big as being the president. Maybe even bigger than being the president at that time. Being the heavyweight champion, it meant something. It meant you was the baddest man breathing oxygen, walking the planet Earth. And everybody feared and respected you. And that's what people loved Muhammad Ali. Loved him and adored him. But he gave up that belt to fight for something bigger than him, fighting for the rights of his people to be treated equally and fairly. And he stood in what he believed in. He like, look, I'm not going to go. And because he could have taken any job in the military. He could have taken they wouldn't have made him fight on the front lines. He's a heavyweight champion of the world. They're not, ultimately, he is a source of entertainment for the country. So they're not going to put him on the front lines where he can just easily, get his life taken or easily die. They would have had him in the kitchen. But he knew if he would have just took that kitchen job, working, being a chef or whatever, in the kitchen, a small time job in the military, it still would have given the government the okay to continuously draft young black men in the military, to continuously draft and use Muhammad Ali as the example to say, look, it doesn't matter, young black man, if you're treated wrongly or unfairly in this country, if you're not afforded the same rights as other Americans in a dominant society. It doesn't matter because you still need to serve in this war because Muhammad Ali did it. And he did not want to be that example that the country could use to say, serve in this war that we got going on, and you should do it because Muhammad Ali did it. He knew that they would use him as the example to keep sending young black boys, keep drafting young black boys to participate in these wars. And he was totally against it. He was totally against it also because of his faith, of his religion. He was Islamic. And he was like, listen, my faith is a religion of peace. And he was not about it. He was not with it. And so when they stripped him of his belt stripped him of his belt and stripped him of his boxing license for 3 years, like that was essentially taking away that man's ability to feed his family, feed his children, protect and provide for his wife and children. And for him to like still say, you know what, I'm still going to fight for what I believe in. I'm still going to stick to my guns. I'm still not going to let them scare me into basically backing down, scare me into changing my stance. I'm going to still stay convicted in my stance. And he still was like, you know what, I'm going to keep my head held high and still rolled on what he said before. He still, I'm rolled with the punches. Whatever come with it, come with it. Come with it. I'm still standing firm on my feet and staying true to what I believe in. And ultimately, his gift of gab is really what saved him. The thing that people hated him so much for, you know, they called him the Louisville Lip, told him he talked so much, talked too much. But ultimately, that gift of gab helped to keep him having some type of revenue coming in. Because he was forced to speak, not forced, but he had to speak. He spoke at colleges and, all these different colleges and universities to keep money in his pocket to take care of his family. Because at the end of the day, them babies had to eat. His wife had to be taken care of as well. So, for him to still stand in the face of all of that and, risk it all and to still keep his head held high and to still talk confidently and to still make everybody listen to what he's saying and say it and not skip over a word, not stutter, not hold his tongue, not seem timid in his stance. He said it confidently and bravely. And I respected that man so much. And to this day, I still have a huge amount of respect for him because speaking in that time again, he was villainized for that. Villainized. Like people hated him for that decision he made to not serve in the military. And they thought, who is this dude? Who he think he is? How dare he do this? How dare he not serve in his military? And he still said, you know what? Come at me. Talk about me all you want to. Throw dirt on my name. Smear my name in the mud. It's okay. I'm going to stand true. I'm going to stand for my people. And I'm going to stay true to myself and what I believe. I'm going to stay true to what I believe in. And I'm not going to go back on what I said just because you try to use scare tactics. And to be that convicted in your stance at that time, man, oh my God, man. Such an honorable thing. That's why, that's why, like, I look at him the way that I do. Because so many other individuals, when that pressure came, a lot of other individuals would have said, you know what, I'm going to back off. I'm going to chill. I'm going to just go ahead and take this position in the military. I'm not going to get killed. They ain't going to have me on the front lines in battle. It's cool. But he said, nah, I'm not having that. I'm not riding with it. I'm not riding with that. I'm not accepting it. This is what I'm going to stand for. This is what I believe in. And ultimately, he was able to come back after 3 years and still had a dominant second half of his career. Still had a dominant second half of his career where he was able to pull off the rumble in the jungle. He was able to pull off one of the biggest upsets that a lot of people ever seen when he beat George Foreman, who was the boogeyman at that time in the heavyweight division. George Foreman hit so hard, people were terrified, trembled to fight him. Ali rope-a-doped him, got the knockout, and got the heavyweight championship belt back. And that was just like the ultimate the ultimate feeling of high for him after all that he'd been through, all the craziness that he'd been through, all the trials, the tribulations, the turmoil that was in his life at the time due to the decision that he made. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns. And I'm going to stay true to what I believe in. And that's why I'm going to always stay true to what I believe in, no matter what. I'm always going to voice my opinion on how I feel about things that affect my community, affect my people, on things that I feel is right and what's wrong because of that man, Muhammad Ali. So when he passed away, it did something to me because I knew an important figure was no longer like a truly great hero during this time was not going to be with us anymore. And he was a flawed individual. He had many flaws. He wasn't perfect by any means. Had issues with infidelity. He had times where he could be, contradictory about certain things. Especially regarding, things dealing with his infidelity. But at the same time, the man was a great man for the things that he stood for, things that he believed, the things that he believed in, and the things that he continued to fight for in the face of in the face of danger, I would say, but in the face of having your livelihood just taken away from you. So at the end of the day, Muhammad Ali is a figure that we will never forget because he transcends sports. Everybody knows who Muhammad Ali is. Even if you're not a boxing fan, you know who he is by how charismatic he was. People loved him. People took to him. People clung to every word that he said because they believed in him. And he had the confidence in himself to know that no matter what you think about me, I think this of me and I know I could do this. Like he said, I was the greatest before I even knew I was. He was great before anybody ever started calling him that. He called it when he told the world he was going to be Sonny Liston. He said, I told y'all, eat your words. I told y'all I was going to do this. He told people he was going to be George Foreman. He told people he was going to be Joe Frazier. He told them he was going to be the baddest man on the planet, and he was. He he talked the talk, but he also walked the walk. And that's what makes him so revered, man. Just his ability to recognize that you can speak things into existence. You can speak things. You can speak favor into your life. He maintained his spirituality. Always maintained that. And always, like I said, spoke things into fruition. He believed in that. And really, that's was one of the, not the earliest sign, but one of the earliest signs for me that you can speak things into existence if you also put that work into it. Not just talking about it, but putting the work in and talking about it, they will come into fruition. The more you speak those things up. And he spoke it up so much, he did everything that he set out to accomplish in a sport. Everything that he wanted to accomplish, he did. And for that, you got to tip your hat to that man. You got to tip your hat to him. Man, I often sit and I think, I wonder how Muhammad Ali would have been during these times when you got Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the things, to raise awareness to police brutality. I really wonder, had Muhammad Ali had all of his faculties still, how would he have been in today's times? What would he have said about things that were going on in society? I really wanted to hear his perspective on stuff that's going on, and it's such a shame that he had his voice taken away from him due to Parkinson's. And it was crazy to see a guy that was once so vocal, so loquacious, so charismatic, so thought-provoking. That individual having his ability to speak, his voice taken away from him due to a disease, an ailment. It's man, I can only imagine the people that really grew up with him, that was really in his camp every single day to see him like that. I know it hurt their heart to see him like that. But boxing is a brutal game. It's a very, very brutal game. But nonetheless, man, Muhammad Ali was a great man. A guy that I really like. I got Muhammad Ali. Well, not on this phone. I got a new phone, but the phone that I had before this, Muhammad Ali's in the background. The picture of him in the water boxing, and that was just a reminder to me to always be true to myself. Never forget where I come from. always be confident in my abilities, and to know that we have a duty, specifically me, myself. I have a duty to, if I'm ever in position, as a black man in particular, if I'm ever in position to have other people here, if I'm ever in a position to discuss issues involving my community on a major platform, I can never be afraid to do that. Because my voice could be the voice to spark a change somehow, some way. I could be the voice to change people's perspective on certain things, to make them see a different perspective than what they were originally thinking. And Muhammad Ali did it so courageously in the face of things unimaginable to a man. He still did it. That's why he is my favorite, one of my favorite historical figures. I'm going to do a video on a couple of the other ones either. I'm not going to spoil it for y'all, but they're not all sports figures either. So I'm going to give y'all a couple of other individuals as well. But at this time, I had to talk about my appreciation, my love and appreciation, or my admiration for Muhammad Ali and the man that he was, and the social figure that he was, the fighter that he was as well. Peace.